Adrien? Look at you. What have I done? My little boy.
Spike!
Nice.
Imagine strolling down the streets of Paris, sunlight bouncing off your hair and the sound of music filling the air. Maybe you just left work, or maybe you're savoring a quiet moment in a cafe with a warm croissant. Everything feels perfectly ordinary until one little inconvenience tips your mood. A late bus, a spilled coffee, someone cutting in line. Frustration bubbles up just for a second, and that's when you feel it. A chill, a whisper in your mind, the flutter of dark wings. Hawkmoth has sensed your irritation. Suddenly, your emotions are no longer yours. They twist and fester, shaping into something monstrous. Before you even catch your breath, a mask of purple light clouds your vision, and you've become an akumatized villain, lashing out with powers born of your own fleeting anger. Sure, Ladybug and Cat Noir will show up and eventually save the day, purify the Akuma, and restore everything back to normal, but not before you terrified half the city, humiliated yourself, and added yet another incident to the never-ending list of disasters in the city of Paris. Living in the miraculous universe would be exhausting because here, even the slightest crack in your composure is enough to turn you into a villain. Much like the Grim and Ruby being drawn to negativity, Hawkmoth thrives on your bad days, making Paris less a city of love and more a city where you can never afford to have a bad mood. Gabriel Agreste parenting is as great as his pancakes.
Way too much flour, not enough butter. I don't even need to try them to know that they're tasteless.
Where's the flavor? Where's the flavor in this? I don't taste anything. I don't taste sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, milk, nothing at all.
With each season of Miraculous Ladybug, he seems to delve deeper and deeper into madness. This man gives me emotional whiplash. One moment he's the sympathetic grieving father who wants to revive his wife, and the next he's this irredeemable psychopath hell-bent on getting Ladybugs and Cat Noir to miraculous no matter what. When I see Gabriel caressing the glass chamber containing Emily's body, it reminds me of Mr. Freeze and Nora. For context, for anyone who's not familiar with Mr. Freeze, he's a tragic DC supervillain and one of Batman's more sympathetic villains. For Mr. Freeze, everything begins and ends with Nora. She was diagnosed with a fatal disease, and Mr. Freeze, stricken with sorrow, placed her in cryogenic stasis, vowing to keep her alive until he could find a cure. Gabriel Agreste is driven by love for a wife he already lost. Emily's body rests in suspended animation, and Gabriel, consumed by grief, becomes Hawkmoth. But unlike Mr. Freeze, Gabriel's desperation manifests in ways that actively harm those closest to him. He isolates and controls his son Adrien, weaponizes the emotions of the citizens of Paris through akumatization, and justifies every destructive act as necessary to bring Emily back. Where Mr. Freeze's crimes feel tragic but reluctant, Gabriel often seems ruthless, willing to sacrifice anyone if it might restore what he lost. Both men are tragic figures, yet their tragedy unfolds along different moral lines. Freeze's grief makes him pitiable, even noble, in his steadfast loyalty to Nora. Gabriel's grief, however, curdles into toxic obsession, overshadowing his duties as a father and eroding his capacity for empathy. Freeze's love inspires pity.
Oh yes, I'd kill for that.
Gabriel's often reads as harmful, a love so consuming that it erases his role as a father and corrodes his humanity. Besides that, Gabriel has got to be one of the most inconsistent villains I have seen in a hot minute. Gabriel's overall relationship with his son Adrien is trash. It's garbage. We all see that. But we, the audience, over time see that he does somewhat care about him. In season 2 episode Goryzilla, Adrien, having enough of his father's shit, runs away from home. He only dipped because he wanted to see a movie in which his mother was starring in. Gabriel has a moment and suspects his son might be Cat Noir. You don't say. Blonde hair, green eyes, both have rings in the same placement. No alarm bells are ringing for you, huh? I call it the Superman rule. Gabriel, instead of searching for his own kid, sends his bodyguard only to immediately akumatize him. Adrien, through getting captured by Goryzilla, he yeets himself off the building, and you can practically see Gabriel's soul leave his body. He's panicking, yelling, having a nervous breakdown. This is a man who regularly terrorizes Paris without batting an eye, and suddenly he's unraveling because his son will turn the pavement red. Gabriel actually does care about Adrien deeply, but the hater in me can't let this slide that easily. He still gambled with his son's life. Even though Gabriel expressed guilt for putting his son in danger, he waited as long as he could before ordering the release of Ladybug so she could rescue Adrien. He just has this terrible way of showing affection. Then we, the audience, learn the reason why Gabriel is so desperate to get the miraculous. As it turns out, he can combine Ladybug and Cat Noir's miraculous to make a wish, which is basically getting the Dragon Balls and summoning Shenron, the power to undo death itself. For Gabriel, this is no trivial fantasy. His wife Emily lies suspended in a glass coffin, and the miraculous are his only hope to revive her so he and Adrien can once again be a happy family. Gabriel wasn't just a villain anymore. He was a man defined not only by his obsession, but also by his love and humanity. But we could throw this shit out of the window because what is this writing? The writing for Gabriel in season 3 was all over the place, let's be honest. It wasn't just Gabriel, season 3 just fell off the rails. We're introducing Mayora, a character who should have been this game-changing partner in crime, and instead she's barely there, and for some reason they're acting all lovey-dovey with each other. Did Gabriel forget about Emily?
From the very first day, I knew that I'd do anything for you. I knew that I'd do anything for you.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Many months later.
I can't let you do that.
Like, hello? Gabriel is married to Emily. His entire tragic villain arc is about his undying devotion to her. Gabriel is tearing Paris apart to bring his wife back, but he's also low-key booed up with Nathalie in the meantime? That's why I can't tell if Nathalie has a pity crush on Gabriel, because their romance, it makes sense, but no sense at the same time. And one of the more confusing parts of Miraculous Ladybug, I mean, look at it through my eyes. Nathalie, she's the classic loyal henchman archetype, the character who sticks by the villain side no matter how awful they are. She's the one running damage control, keeping his secret, and even sacrificing her own health for him, which is wild to me, because what if Gabriel succeeded in bringing Emily back? Which means her chances with him drop to 0, so her own motives make little sense. If she wants to be with him, it will only make more sense for Nathalie to convince him to drop the supervillain hustle and move on. However, it's pretty obvious to Gabriel, Nathalie is more than just an assistant. But then you look at the other side of Nathalie's character and suddenly the whole thing makes no damn sense. This is a woman who is prim, proper, and organized to a fault. She clearly cares about Adrien, becoming his substitute mom and feeling guilty about lying to him. Enough to homeschool him when it's not even her assistant job description. She's no nonsense professional and has that aura of someone who should absolutely not tolerate Gabriel's disaster parenting.
I became your bodyguard, your right-hand woman, your friend, and even more. And the only reason I'm still here is to protect Adrien from you. Period!
To me, Nathalie just ping-pongs between crushing on Gabriel, resenting him, or acting indifferent in their strange relationship. Speaking of relationships, Gabriel's intentions with a bunch of teenagers were the most disturbing. Let's start with my girl Chloe. In the writer's insistent need to make her this horrible, irredeemable she-devil that's worse than the main villain of the show. For the life of me, I never got why Gabriel was so fixated on recruiting Chloe as an ally. Throughout the entirety of season 3, Hawkmoth was down bad, trying to bring Chloe to the dark side. And it's no brainer, most day-to-day Akumas are primarily Chloe's fault, but having her as an actual team member is a mistake. It'll be like that one time Jerry from Totally Spies added Mandy as the girl's new teammate, and she was completely useless and brought nothing but annoyance and inconvenience for everyone. If anything, he should have put all his energy into investing in Lila, the same Lila who managed to turn Marinette's fake-ass classmates against her. To this day, I'm still heated about that, and the fact that Marinette gave them all miraculous after how they treated her? Girl! Marinette, baby, have more self-respect for yourself. Lila becoming Hawkmoth's protege would have made a juicy dynamic, but watching Gabriel drag her the filth had me rolling.
Lila, when will you understand? I don't wish to talk to you, so stop calling me with your foolish demands. Inviting you to the diamond dance? Why would I do such a thing?
Because I am an image of the Agreste brand.
My bottles of perfume are images of the Agreste brand too, and yet you don't see me inviting them to my events.
I'm so used to giving, and now I get to receive. Praise God.
And you know what? Deserved. Am I supposed to feel bad that he dragged the 14-year-old girl? Nope. The way she be dragging and lying on Marinette's name, why should I feel bad? I don't. And finally, the dreaded episode. After discovering that Marinette is deeply in love with his son and that they were happily dating, Gabriel's master plan wasn't let my son live his best teenage romance. No, he cooked up a whole scheme to break them apart and akumatize Marinette. Like, why? Why is his default setting always maximum sabotage? Marinette drags herself to Agreste mansion, heart in shambles, and tells Adrien, we can't be together no more, and dips. Gabriel uses that chance to akumatize his son's ex, and Adrien, with no other choice, transforms into Cat Noir. You would think that when Gabriel learns that Adrien is Cat Noir, his reaction would be, oh crap, my son's been fighting me this whole time? Nah, he laughs. His takeaway isn't horror or even guilt, it's just...
The miraculous will soon be mine!
Dry lips have an ass.
After this, Hawkmoth yeets his son to the Eiffel Tower. He then straight up tortures his own son just to akumatize him, all for the chance to snatch Ladybug's miraculous and resurrect his wife. And let's say he got away with this and he actually resurrect Emily. She would have divorced Gabriel with the swiftness, because ain't no way you are mind-f***ing your own son and your wife will be just cool with it. Zero concern for his kid's shattered mental state. Zero hesitation when Adrien is crumbling under the truth that his father is the villain. This is the same man whom we're supposed to feel sympathy for, and then he crosses the line and akumatizes his own son.
And what about it? And what about it?
Fortunately, Ladybug manages to repair everything, but it's baffling how far he would go to get his wife back. If that's not bad enough, he turned his own kid into a weapon that nuked Paris and shattered the moon and eventually clapped the rest of the planet. Now, people will argue and say, oh, that's fine because it's an alternative timeline and mainstream Gabriel would never do that.
Side eye. Side eye.
Gabriel is actively choosing to hurt Adrien in the name of family, when in reality, he's just dismantling what little family he has left. Before I go any further, I have to talk about Gabriel getting tired of Hawkmoth and having a whole new wardrobe change and rebrand. It's the era of Shadow Moth.
I feel like a femme queen. I feel like a femme queen. I feel like my paint, my makeup. I feel like a femme queen.
And that's on period.
This is how I know the show is trying to gaslight me into believing Gabriel is a fashion designer, because what the hell is this? It's giving, I got my fit from Temu. We need some new designers as soon as possible, like Marinette, Claudine Wolfe, Clover, Rarity, Cruella DeVille, and Edna. These are fashion icons right here. And the name Shadow Moth sounds like a fandom ship name. What really cemented Gabriel's crown as the most incompetent villain of the century is Felix. This kid strolled in, barely around for a few episodes, and managed to accomplish more in that time span than Gabriel did in 4 entire seasons.
Well, just as I thought, trash.
Felix pulled off a speed run. He shook his uncle's hand and stole the ring, cracked Gabriel's identity like it was child's play, raided the basement, found Emily, swiped the Peacock Miraculous, and rebounded with his cousin's ex.
Damn, I really make it look easy.
A literal teenager just clowned him every step of the way. Meanwhile, Gabriel, Mr. Mastermind, spent Lord knows how long monologuing to a butterfly in his villain lair only to get outplayed by his bratty nephew. And honestly, props to Felix, because he did that. But Gabriel finally getting all the miraculous, it just feels undeserved. We spent season after season watching this man try and fail again and again in the most embarrassing way possible, and then suddenly he gets all of them? It feels like the plot tossed him a bone and was like, here, damn. It feels like the show handed him a dub because they were tired of watching him fumble. You know what? Same thing with Lila. Did it less than 24 hours.
Waited for 3.5 years. White man did it in 1 week. I waited for 3.5 years. White man did it in 1 week. I said I waited for 3.5 years. The white man did it in 1 week.
Now, the final chapter of Gabriel Agreste in the season that drove off a cliff. After flopping for 4 seasons, he finally has the miraculous thanks to Felix. But this isn't where my anger lies. It's the fast erosion of Gabriel and Adrien's relationship. And speaking of erosion, Cat Noir cataclysms Gabriel, leaving him on borrowed time. Suddenly, Gabriel's like, oh no, I want Adrien to remember me as a good father. Excuse me? So now that you're essentially dying, you want to be a good father? My thing is, why couldn't you do that before when you were still alive and well? Him. As if Gabriel's behavior couldn't deteriorate any faster like his body, he's back to mentally mind-f***ing and abusing his son without any apparent cause. Also, he's back to interfering with his son's romantic life. Just like in the episode Cat BLANC, he's trying to separate Marinette and Adrien.
Like, back up! Back up! Mind your business, that's all. Mind your business.
Gabriel tells Marinette he can make her the world's greatest fashion designer, but only if she stops seeing Adrien. First of all, that's a goddamn lie, because his fashion sense is questionable as Caillou. It also doesn't make any sense. If Gabriel truly wanted Adrien's happiness and cared about maintaining Adrien's brand/image, Marinette being a rising star designer and Adrien's girlfriend actually makes perfect sense. Gabriel has a lot of power in the fashion industry. He decides what is a hit or a miss. That means if he wants Marinette to be the next big thing, he could snap his fingers and make it so. He's proven he could elevate anyone. Gabriel is unbothered by industry giants. He could bulldoze reputations and replace them with his own stars. So Marinette wouldn't be a risk to Adrien's brand. Gabriel could spin it however he wanted. He also made Lila, a nobody wannabe with zero modeling experience, the face of the Alliance ring. He stages a romance-heavy photo shoot with her and Adrien. If Gabriel was willing to handpick Lila of all people, why on earth wouldn't he consider Marinette someone with actual talent, integrity, and a real relationship with Adrien? Kagami becomes the face of his brand, shot alongside Adrien. A team power couple campaign practically writes itself. So what gives? Why refuse Marinette? As much as I hate to say this, Gabriel doesn't see Adrien as a person but as a possession. Naturally, he assumes he alone has the authority to pick a suitable partner for his son, and of course Marinette, a humble baker's daughter, doesn't meet his arbitrary elitist standards. Gabriel's obsession with control isn't about cruelty, it's about enforcing his vision of a perfect happy life for Adrien. All Adrien has to do is follow the plan Gabriel set in motion and he'll thank him someday, right? The problem is Marinette isn't just competent, she's unpredictable, a wild card. And for a perfectionist control freak like Gabriel, someone who refuses to be molded or tamed is unbearable. Even if Kagami hadn't already been chosen as a safe option, Gabriel will still see Marinette as a threat to his tightly curated world. Adrien having a choice, autonomy, free will? Gabriel's worst nightmare. This leads me to believe that everything Gabriel plans, from finding the miraculous to producing Adrien with the Peacock Miraculous, making him a human Sentimonster, is done mostly to ensure Emily's happiness rather than his own. Gabriel may carry unconscious blame and animosity towards his son because Adrien's very existence is linked to Emily's illness. I personally believe he doesn't care for Adrien as much as Emily did. When viewed in this light, Gabriel's authoritarian and abusive actions begin to make unsettling sense. In addition to grief, his compulsive urge to control situations and achieve perfection in every area of his life is the root cause of his tendency to manipulate, hurt, and psychologically torture Adrien, as demonstrated in episodes such as Cat BLANC and Ephemeral. These selfish impulses are heightened by Gabriel's enormous wealth and influence, which permit his compulsive control and moral decay to proceed unchecked. Slowly, it became less and less about bringing Emily back and just about outsmarting and finally getting a certified dub over Ladybug and Cat Noir. This is why Gabriel Agreste has to be one of the most incompetent, inconsistent, and insufferable villains I have ever seen.
This nigga is trash.
Again, it's mental whiplash. And after all the psychological torture, the selfishness, and the terrible fashion sense, the final insult was not just to the fans, but also to Adrien himself. Gabriel wins. He wins!
I can't. Get out. Oh my god.
After fulfilling his wish, he and Emily have a happily ever after? I know you fucking lying. Miraculous writers, what crack were you smoking when greenlighting this? You telling me that Gabriel not only wins, but is also celebrated as a hero in the new world after he was a terrorist to the city of Paris, after akumatizing, traumatizing, manipulating, and being a shit parent to Adrien, he gets hailed as a hero? They legit put a whole ass statue of this man. And if you think this drama could get any juicier, Marinette, in a move that still blows my mind to this day, lies to Adrien, but all of Paris and the world on who Monarch is, and that Gabriel Agreste was a hero who sacrificed his life for everyone.
You know when people get so angry they say they see red? That shit is actually true. All I see is red. It's like I am looking at the world through blood.
That left a sour taste in my mouth, especially when we, the audience, know how awful a human Gabriel truly was. It's the way I know this lie will not only bite Marinette and Ladybug in the ass later on, but when Adrien finds out the truth, he's gonna crash out. We're definitely gonna get a sequel to Cat Blanc. And if you haven't watched the latest Miraculous episode, her lying is not only catching up to her, but is making Marinette sleep deprived and ashamed for her actions. So now, Adrien, who's been abused, gaslit, and controlled his whole life, believes his father is this great man and is saying,
I don't know if I'll ever manage to be like him.
What? I'm done. I am so done with this show. After everything Gabriel did, we're really rewriting history to make him look like Father of the Year?
Yes.
After 5 seasons of meticulous build-up, the subtle hints, the growing distance, the sheer weight of a double life lived under one roof, the writers simply refused to let Adrien discover his father's true identity as Monarch. What's even more sad, the show is called Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, but the other protagonist, Cat Noir, wasn't even there for the final confrontation with Monarch. He's really just a side character on his own show. Marinette is now tasked with a dying man's wish.
Make sure that Adrien never knows about the villain that I was, but instead, that he remembers the times I tried to be a good father.
I've been asleep for the last 10 years because what good parts? I could make a whole list where the bad outweighs the good. Gabriel, don't worry, I got you. I'll remind Adrien every day that you were a controlling, emotional, manipulating, and suffocating control freak that wanted absolute dominion over his son's life. Don't worry, big dog. I got you from 6 feet up. Gabriel saying he doesn't want Adrien to know he was the big bad is contradicting with season 6, where he leaves a letter, a literal confession admitting he was Monarch, admitting to all the chaos and destruction he caused, and then dares to tell Adrien to pick up where he left off.
If you're reading this letter, it means I'm with your mother. I was Monarch. My son, it's your turn now to continue my mission. You will seize the miraculous of that wretched Ladybug and her pathetic partner, Cat Noir.
You know, some fathers don't deserve the love from their sons. That's just pathetic. He could have just confessed he's Monarch and leave it at that. Why would he burden his only child with an obsession that got him killed? What's even more disgusting to me is how the writers try to play in my face and shove a whole redemption arc down my throat at the last second. I would also like to mention Gabriel's treatment of his Kwame Nooroo. Gabriel's treatment of Nooroo is straight up cruel. He abused Nooroo's powers dozens of times, essentially making him a slave. Nooroo can't leave his side. He's silenced when Gabriel doesn't want to hear him, and he's forced to transform against his will. Nooroo isn't just a magical sidekick, he's another victim of Gabriel's. And what's worse, after Gabriel's gone, Nooroo doesn't get freedom. He gets passed along to Lila, who might actually be even more worse than Gabriel. Hashtag justice for Nooroo, hashtag free the butterfly. He's not meant to be trapped in a cage. So, Gabriel Agreste is joining the Hall of Fame of trash-ass parents. His inconsistency and incompetence makes him a weak-ass villain, and he didn't even respect Emily's wishes on not bringing her back. Not to mention, Paris itself is a victim. Collateral damage to one man's family drama. And let's be clear, Gabriel isn't just a bad father. He had chance after chance to stop his clownery, but continued. He's perfectly fine with traumatizing, akumatizing, and endangering children, often from his own son's class, just to chase the pipe dream of reviving Emily. Honestly, if I were Adrien, I would have pulled a Jaden Smith and emancipated myself. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, hit that notification bell to never miss an update. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Get your